Welcome back to the Bourbon Retriever. My name is Chris, and today we're going to talk about some of the whiskeys that I used to love, but for one reason or another, am just not the biggest fan anymore. And you're going to want to stay tuned because there is at least one on this list that I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to disagree with me on. So the list today that we're doing is, I think, a pretty cool concept and one that we as a community just need to be more, I guess, just talking about and just self-aware. Your palate changes over time as you get into whiskey. Your preferences change for maybe different proof points, different price points, different flavors, from lighter to darker to sweeter to more savory. So these are just things that happen naturally as a person. And the other reason is more talked about because it's not as much of a introspective thing, but just whiskey blends do change over time. Distillers, they always try to blend to a certain taste profile, but just naturally as you're blending barrels from produced at different times, which can get different tastes just as the yeast mutates, different wood grains using from different regions, different ages, just things naturally change over time. So these blends from 10 years ago, 5 years ago, will be just slightly different from what you're drinking today. So the first bottle we're going to talk about is a bottle I know that is a fan favorite for many of you, and it is the Four Roses Single Barrel Proof whiskey. They have 10 different recipes which are cool to collect as someone who is got to catch them all kind of mindset. And that's how I was at the beginning. When I was just starting this journey, it was just had this need of needing to grab everything. And one of the things that I've learned as I've gotten more into the whiskey game is you don't need to collect them all. One, time-wise, there's other things in life to be doing. Two, you can't drink all of it. There's always new whiskey coming out, and you literally cannot drink through every single release that always comes out. So you really need to focus on the whiskey that you yourself enjoy drinking. So this bottle, when it first came out, I fell in love with the collecting of all of them. And at the time I thought they were fine whiskey, but after I think I have roughly like 8 of them now, and there's maybe only 2 of them that are worth that $100 price point. To me, these are very interchangeable with many other whiskeys on the market. I'm not getting something unique out of them, and there are some $60 bottles that I could easily replace this in my drinking experience. So it's just a bottle that I'm not going to grab, and it's one that I just don't feel that is unique and something I need on my shelf. Now, the second bottle is the one I am going to get the most hate for, and it is a Weller Full Proof, specifically the Store Picks. These were bottles, again, that I felt like I needed to get when I first got into whiskey, trying to get the whole Weller lineup here, because this is the same mash bill that goes into the higher end Van Winkles and the Pappies. So if you can't get those, the next best alternative is to get the Weller lineup. When I first got these, I thought they were good whiskey. I really enjoyed them. But the last like 3 store picks or so that I've tried of this has been pretty suboptimal. I don't know if they're having lower quality barrels going to the pick program, like they're younger, or there's something else is going on, or just maybe my palate is changing and becoming more perceptive. But the last couple store picks of this have not been worth even the price point on them, let alone the time. And for many of these, you're going to have to be paying up either secondary, spending a lot at a store to get enough loyalty points to be able to have the opportunity to get this at MSRP. It's just, to me, this bottle is just not worth the chase anymore. But don't get me wrong, I am still a big fan of the Weller lineup. I think the Weller 107 is one of the best drinkers that you can get from the Buffalo Trace lineup. Also a big fan of the CYBB bottle. I know that's one a lot of people hate. I don't know if this batch is just really good, but I think this one is worth the hype behind it. And so they have many bottles that I think are worth it. It's just for this particular lineup, this picks that come out lately have just not hit the mark for me. Now, before we get on to the next bottle on this list, if you're enjoying this content, hit that subscribe button. That way you don't miss any of my future videos. So the next bottle on this list is kind of in capturing probably the biggest shift in my whiskey journey so far, and it is any bottle that is at Hazmat. When I first started drinking, I was chasing these Hazmats, as many of you out there also, because it's a cool word, having a Hazmat whiskey. And traditionally, when you get those higher proof whiskeys, you're also going to get more flavor behind them. However, lately, I just am not going to these whiskeys. Like, if I'm going to have a pour on a Tuesday night after work, I don't want a Hazmat whiskey. It's just going to blow your face off. To drink these, you really need to have like 1 or 2 pours before it to get your palate kind of acclimated. Going straight into these, it's just going to taste like ethanol. And 2, you would just get drunker faster on these Hazmats. And I don't really want to be able to deal with a hangover with these whiskeys on a weeknight. So I find myself lately starting to chase lower proof whiskeys that have the flavor that almost equals what you get in these Hazmats. And to me, lately, that is like the Michter's 10 bourbons. These are, I think, roughly like 90 proof points-ish, and they pack a ton of flavor. They do really good in blinds with higher proof whiskey, and you just don't get the same alcoholic effect that you do from the higher whiskey. So to me, these were cool bottles to chase at the beginning, but lately I just am not going to these bottles on the shelf. And specifically, I'm not calling out this brand specifically. It's just in general, the Hazmat whiskeys are something I'm just not going after. Now, this next bottle on the list is probably the bottle that hurts me the most, and it is the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof batches, the A, B, and C batch. This was my favorite whiskey when I started drinking whiskey. It was the one I cut my teeth on, the one I was bottle killing more than anything else. One, it has a special connection to me with the Elijah Craig name. Definitely go look it up. There's a cool history back there on that bottle. But the reason I'm not buying these anymore is just the quality is going down on them. They no longer have the 12-year age statement on them, and they just seem to be not saving their best barrels for this release, and they're putting them into maybe their Parkers, their Heaven Hill, Heritage Collections, other things that they can just make more money on, which makes sense from a business standpoint. But it hurts a little sentimentally just with how much I've loved this brand. Now, if they do come out with some great batches in the future, I am back on board. I will be buying these again. But just for me lately, I have not bought these in the last 2 years. And if they keep on this trend, I'm not sure that I'll be buying these in the future. Next one on this list is another Heaven Hill product, and it is the McKenna 10-year single barrels. These came on the map, oh gosh, how long ago now? Several years ago. When Fred Minnick had this near the top of his list. If not, I think it was the top or something like that. But they ended up blowing up. Prices overnight skyrocketed, doubled from like $30 to $60. Now they are in my area dropping again. Like my local store has this for $50. So the prices seem to be coming down as this kind of more sits on the shelves in our area. And it does seem like a good value. $60, $50 for a 10-year age-dated product. Seems like great value. Whiskey, however, there's massive variability in these bottles. I've had some decent ones, and I've had others that, to be honest, are almost like drain pour whiskey. They do not taste anything close to 10 years old. They have the 10-year age statement on it, but there's nowhere near the amount of oak influence that you get from other 10-year whiskeys like Eagle Rare 10. Again, earlier I was talking about the Michter's 10s. Like those just have so much more flavor, nuanced, oak-rich notes to them, whereas this is just a very light, thin, delicate drink that, again, I think is very interchangeable with many other whiskeys. And it's just a bottle that I just don't feel like I need. So with that variableness in the quality, it's just a bottle that I'm no longer going to anymore with those thin notes also. The next bottle is one that most people, when they're getting into whiskey, this is one of the first whiskeys they cut their teeth on, and it is the Old Forester 1920. Many people in the whiskey space, this is one of the top 2 or 3 bottles they recommend beginners to get, and it makes sense. It's widely available across the United States. Decent price point, $60 for people who are trying to take the next step up in their whiskey journey. Don't have to hunt too hard for it, and comes at a good proof point. However, the quality on these batches, in my opinion, has drastically declined in them. It's a bottle that I don't recommend beginners to buy anymore because of that drop in quality. I got this one, gosh, feels like a couple years ago now, and I'm only like halfway through it, and I do not see myself going to this in the near future at all, or buying a new batch of it. It's just not where it used to be. And there's with the expansion of whiskey across the shelves with new products to get, it's just one that I just don't think is there anymore that beginners need to go and grab. But stay tuned, this is not the only Old Forester product on the list. So like the Elijah Craig, this one is also on the list because of batch quality degradation, and it is the Remis repeal. This is specifically the 5. This was a great value whiskey when it came out. It had ultra aged products in there for under that, I think it was maybe $100 or less price point. Again, low proof whiskey. I think it hits all the marks of what I am looking for in whiskey today. However, the Remis Repeal whiskey just hasn't been there for the last couple of releases. The batches of the age in them has drastically decreased. So the same value position is just not there anymore for the consumers. I don't know what Remis is doing with these high age barrels. Maybe they're going to Penelope with that brand, because that is just a much better market presence, much more brand loyalty behind it. So I don't know if they're going there, they're sourcing them somewhere else, but they just haven't been putting the same ultra aged stated products into this. So until they go back to what was closer to this Remis 5, this is going to be one that I'm skipping and not recommending people to buy because of that high price point. So as mentioned earlier, here is the other Old Forester product, and this is the Blue Labels, the Old Forester barrel proof single barrels. These are frankly just not the best whiskey for what they are. Lately, they are just pure ethanol to me on a lot of single barrels lately. And they are relatively young. They're typically like 4 to 5 years because they have the heat cycle warehouses. And you just don't get a lot of those beautiful Old Forester notes from these whiskeys for the price, the proof that they're punching into them. Now, Old Forester, to their credit, they used to actually not offer these. They started out offering a 90 proof single barrel, the black labels, but the consumer demand was there for higher proof whiskey. So to meet that demand, they started releasing these at higher proofs. So I don't know if it's so much Brown-Forman's fault as us consumers' faults asking for this and buying them up. But I really hope they start transitioning away from this and going back to 100 proof or 90 proof whiskeys more. They do have the Old Forester Black Label. Definitely go and buy those if you see them in your market. Those are great whiskeys. I think you get much more flavor with a much lower proof point, and there's overall well-rounded, better drinks. Now, that's not to say there aren't good blue labels out there. There are. There are some phenomenal blue labels. It's just more often than not, they are ethanol forward. So it's definitely one that you want to ask your store for a sample to see if it matches your palate before you buy it. So the next bottle we're going to talk about is the Smoke Wagon Uncut Unfiltered. When this first came out, again, it was all the craze. People were loving it. I think I paid up to almost like $100 for this bottle. However, now with the craze subsiding, I think I saw at the ABC like roughly $70 now. So there are a couple issues with this bottle and why I'm just not the biggest fan anymore. The first is the color of the bottle. I have become more skeptical of these whiskey brands, especially the non-distilling producers, when they try and hide it, either that be in some decanter that you can't see through, or use a dark colored glass like this. When they use those dark colored glasses, you can't really see the color of the whiskey as much. And to me, that just kind of raises a red flag there. Now, I'm not saying that Smoke Wagon is trying to hide anything with this bottle. It's just a red flag that goes off me when I see these type of bottles, and I much prefer Smoke Wagon doing the clear glass with their whiskey going forward. The second issue is that these are MGP juice, and that is just prolific on the market right now. Almost, if you go in the store, like a ton of different brands use the same juice, and that is the same problem that they're falling into. I have enough MGP juice, I don't need more, and I don't think their blending of it is necessarily much better than others out there, so it's just become a much more replaceable bottle and just one that I am not going to be buying another of. Now, last on this list is a bottle that used to be great value bottle, and it is the Blue Note Juke Joint Whiskey Uncut Unfiltered. These are single barrel picks. They're still doing them. They first came out like 2 years ago at this point, but they have a great price point. I think they're like roughly $50. And the first couple of single barrels that came out were really good. They had a ton of great oak notes, very sweet, caramel, just great whiskey for that price point, very underrated. However, lately, a couple of the single barrel picks that I've tried have been more ethanol forward, less flavor, tastes very grainy, youthful. So with the single barrels, what feels like being a little less quality. It just doesn't quite meet the same value prop. It tastes to me much closer to that price point or a little lower. So with these no longer matching the profile that I used to love in these bottles, it's just a bottle that I'm struggling to buy going forward with that quality going down a little bit. I might be a little too hard on this brand. I think it's just in my mind, I held them to such a high level with how much value they were giving for their price point with those amazing single barrels at the beginning. But it's just lately, it seems like they don't have them anymore. So that's my list of bottles that I used to love, but no longer do. Before you head out though, hit the subscribe button, that way you don't miss any future videos, and check out this video before you head out. And until next time, cheers.